Tonight, let your mind slow down. Take a gentle breath in and slowly breathe out. Imagine yourself standing beside the calm waters of the Nile River, thousands of years ago, in the peaceful land of ancient Egypt. The sun has already disappeared beyond the western desert, leaving behind a warm golden glow that slowly fades into soft evening blue. Palm trees sway gently along the riverbanks, and the air feels quiet and calm. In the distance, small mud brick homes rest peacefully beside green fields of barley and wheat. Life in ancient Egypt moved slowly, guided by the steady rhythm of the Nile. Each year, the river flooded gently, bringing rich soil that helped farmers grow food for the entire kingdom. The people believed this life-giving river was a gift from the gods. But tonight, our story is not about farming or daily work. Tonight, we will quietly explore something far more mysterious, yet deeply peaceful. We will step into the careful and thoughtful world of preparing a tomb for a pharaoh. In ancient Egypt, a king was not simply a ruler. A pharaoh was believed to be chosen by the gods, a living bridge between heaven and earth. One of the most famous of these rulers was Khufu, whose great pyramid still watches over the desert near Giza. For the Egyptians, death was not the end of life. Instead, it was seen as the beginning of a long and peaceful journey into the afterlife. Because of this belief, preparing a pharaoh's tomb became one of the most important tasks in the entire kingdom. And interestingly, this work often began while the pharaoh was still alive. Years before a ruler's life came to an end, architects, priests, and skilled workers would begin planning the resting place where the king would sleep for eternity. The tomb needed to be perfect. It needed to protect the pharaoh's body, hold sacred objects, and provide everything the king might need in the peaceful world beyond. Tonight, as we slowly explore this quiet process together, imagine yourself walking softly through ancient temples, desert valleys, and cool stone corridors, where craftsmen work patiently under the warm glow of oil lamps. There is no rush here, only careful hands, quiet voices, and the slow rhythm of history unfolding under the desert sky. So settle in comfortably. Let your thoughts drift like the gentle waters of the Nile. And together we will begin our peaceful journey into the ancient art of preparing a pharaoh's tomb. As the quiet evening settles across the land of ancient Egypt, the calm waters of the Nile River continue their slow and gentle movement through the valley. For the ancient Egyptians, this river was not only the source of life, but also a symbol of the journey between worlds. Long before a pharaoh's tomb could be built, an important decision had to be made. Where should the king rest for eternity? This question was not answered quickly. Instead, it was considered carefully by priests, architects, and royal advisors who understood the sacred traditions of Egypt. They believed the resting place of a pharaoh needed to be peaceful, protected, and closely connected to the spiritual world. Often, tombs were placed on the western side of the Nile. This choice was deeply symbolic. Each evening, the sun slowly disappeared in the western sky, gently sinking beyond the desert horizon. To the Egyptians, this daily movement of the sun represented the passage from life into the afterlife. Because of this belief, the Western Desert became known as the Land of the Dead. One of the most famous royal burial places would later rise near Giza, where the Great Pyramids still stand today. Among them is the enormous monument built for the Pharaoh Khufu, whose tomb was designed to last for thousands of years. But before any stone could be placed, royal surveyors walked slowly across the desert landscape, carefully studying the ground. They looked for stable rock beneath the sand, a strong foundation that could support a massive structure. They also considered the position of the stars and the path of the sun, because many Egyptian monuments were aligned with the heavens. In the quiet desert mornings, these surveyors used simple measuring tools made of rope and wood. With patience and skill, they marked lines across the sand, slowly mapping the exact position where the tomb would rise. Nearby, small groups of workers prepared camps, where they could live during the long construction process. Clay ovens baked bread, jars of water cooled in the shade, and scribes recorded plans carefully on papyrus scrolls. Everything moved slowly and thoughtfully. Preparing a tomb for a pharaoh was never rushed. The Egyptians believed that careful work honored both the king and the gods. And so, under the warm desert sun and the quiet watch of the stars, the first peaceful steps toward building a royal tomb had begun. As the chosen place in the Western Desert becomes quiet and ready for work, a new group of people slowly arrives at the site. These are the royal architects of ancient Egypt, the careful planners responsible for designing the eternal home of a pharaoh. In ancient Egypt, architecture was more than construction. It was a sacred craft. The tomb of a king had to be strong, beautiful, and spiritually meaningful. Every wall, every corridor, and every chamber needed to follow traditions that had been passed down for generations. Among the most respected figures in Egyptian history was Imhotep, who lived many centuries before the Great Pyramids were built. He was known as a wise architect, healer, and thinker, and his ideas influenced many later builders, inspired by earlier masters like him. The architects studying the desert near Giza begin to plan the pharaoh's tomb carefully. They sit beneath simple linen, tents to escape the bright sun, while scribes unroll long sheets of papyrus. Using reed pens and dark ink, they draw slow and precise lines that represent corridors, burial chambers, and hidden passages. The design of a tomb is never simple. The Egyptians believed the pharaoh would continue living peacefully in the afterlife, so the tomb needed to include many rooms. Some chambers would store treasures, others would hold food, clothing, tools, and sacred statues meant to serve the king forever. The central chamber, however, was the most important of all. This was where the pharaoh's stone sarcophagus would rest, protected deep within the structure. The architects also thought carefully about the position of the stars and the movement of the sun. Many Egyptian tombs were aligned with the heavens, symbolizing the pharaoh's journey toward the eternal sky. Meanwhile, beyond the tents, the desert remains calm and quiet. Far in the distance, the green valley of the Nile River glows softly under the afternoon sun, reminding everyone that life continues peacefully along its banks. Here in the desert, however, something much larger is slowly beginning. A resting place designed not for years, but for eternity. The plans grow more detailed each day. Measurements are checked again and again. Nothing is rushed. For the ancient Egyptians, building a pharaoh's tomb was an act of patience, skill, and deep respect. And soon, once the plans are complete, the quiet desert will begin to fill with workers, ready to bring these careful drawings to life. With the plans slowly completed by the royal architects, word begins to travel across the land of ancient Egypt. Messengers move along the fertile banks of the Nile River, carrying quiet instructions from the palace. A great project is about to begin in the western desert. Preparing a pharaoh's tomb required many skilled hands. Contrary to what many people imagine today, most of the workers were not slaves. Instead, they were farmers, craftsmen, and builders who came to help during certain seasons of the year. When the Nile flooded its banks and farming paused for a few months, many villagers traveled to the royal construction sites to work. For them, this was not only labor, it was an honor. Helping to build a resting place for a pharaoh meant taking part in something sacred and lasting. Soon, groups of workers begin arriving near the desert plateau outside Giza. Some walk along dusty paths, carrying simple tools made of wood, stone, and copper. Others arrive by small boats that glide slowly along the river before docking near the work camps. Life at these camps grows busy but peaceful. Rows of small mud brick houses are built to shelter the workers. Clay ovens bake fresh bread each morning, and large jars of cool water are placed in shaded areas to protect them from the heat of the desert sun. Nearby, cooks prepare simple meals of bread, vegetables, and sometimes fish from the Nile. Scribes move quietly through the camp, recording the names of workers and organizing teams for different tasks. Some groups will cut stone blocks from quarries. Others will transport materials across the sand. Skilled craftsmen will later carve decorations and statues. Everything is carefully organized. The Egyptians believed that order and balance were important in all things, especially when preparing something as sacred as a royal tomb. In the early morning light, the workers gather slowly at the construction site. The desert air is cool and the sky above the plateau stretches wide and clear. Somewhere in the distance, priests quietly offer prayers asking the gods to bless the project. And as the sun rises gently over the eastern horizon, the long and patient work of preparing a pharaoh's tomb truly begins. As the days pass peacefully in the growing work camp near Giza, the next important task begins. Before a pharaoh's tomb can rise from the desert ground, the builders must gather enormous amounts of stone. In the land of ancient Egypt, stone was one of the most valuable materials for building. Monuments meant to last forever. Mud brick houses were common for daily life. But a pharaoh's tomb required something stronger, massive. blocks of limestone and granite that could stand quietly for thousands of years. Not far from the construction site, large limestone quarries stretched across the desert landscape. Early each morning, groups of workers walked slowly to these quarries carrying copper chisels, wooden mallets, and stone hammers. The air was still cool as the sun began to rise over the eastern horizon. The work itself was steady and patient. Workers carefully carved lines into the rock surface, gradually separating large rectangular blocks from the earth. It was not fast work. Each strike of the tool was controlled and measured. Over time, the shape of the stone slowly emerged from the bedrock. Nearby, supervisors watched closely to ensure the blocks were cut to the correct size. Scribes recorded the numbers of stones produced each day, quietly writing the details onto sheets of papyrus. The limestone used here was pale and smooth, perfect for building the outer structure of royal tombs. Some of the finest white limestone was brought from quarries farther along the Nile River, where the stone was known for its bright surface that could reflect the sunlight beautifully. Once the blocks were cut free, workers placed them carefully onto wooden sledges. Long ropes were tied to the sledges, and teams of men slowly pulled them across prepared paths in the sand. It was hard work, but it was done with rhythm and cooperation. Sometimes workers sang simple songs together to keep their movements steady and coordinated. Across the desert, hundreds of stones slowly made their journey toward the building site. And piece by piece, block by block, the quiet beginnings of a pharaoh's eternal resting place started to take shape beneath the wide Egyptian sky. As more and more stone blocks are carefully cut from the quarries, the quiet desert near Giza begins to fill with steady movement. The next step in preparing a pharaoh's tomb is not about cutting stone, but about moving it. And this task requires patience, teamwork, and coordination. In ancient Egypt, there were no machines as we know them today. Instead, workers relied on simple tools, clever methods, and shared effort. Each stone block, heavy and solid, was placed onto a wooden sledge. These sledges were carefully built to slide across the ground. Before moving the stones, workers prepared the path ahead. They smoothed the sand and sometimes poured small amounts of water over it. This simple technique helped reduce friction, allowing the heavy sledges to glide more easily across the desert surface. Then, in groups, the workers gathered. Long ropes were tied securely to the front of each sledge. With steady breathing and slow, coordinated steps, the teams began to pull. Their movements were not rushed. Instead, they followed a calm rhythm, often guided by a leader who kept time with soft calls or simple songs. The sound of feet pressing into sand, the quiet sliding of wood against the ground, and the gentle voices of workers moving together. All of it created a peaceful, almost hypnotic rhythm. Nearby, supervisors walked alongside, watching carefully to ensure everything remained balanced and safe. Scribes continued their quiet work, recording the number of stones delivered to the construction site each day. Some stones traveled only short distances from nearby quarries. Others came from far away, carried along the Nile River on large wooden boats. These boats moved slowly with the current, bringing fine materials closer to the desert plateau. When the boats reached the riverbanks, workers once again placed the stones onto sledges and continued the final part of the journey across the sand. Day by day, the stones arrived, and slowly, almost silently, the empty desert began to transform into something lasting and meaningful. A place prepared with care, built with patience, and designed to stand quietly for eternity. As the steady movement of workers continues across the desert near Giza, the moment finally arrives to begin building the foundation of the Pharaoh's tomb. This is a quiet but important step. In ancient Egypt, the foundation of any great structure had to be carefully prepared. The ground was first cleared and leveled with patience. Workers used simple tools to smooth the rocky surface, ensuring that each part of the base was even and strong. This work was done slowly. There was no rush. The Egyptians believed that a stable foundation meant a stable future, especially for something meant to last forever. Once the ground was ready, the first massive stones were brought into place. Teams of workers guided the heavy blocks across the prepared surface, carefully positioning them according to the plans drawn by the architects. Each stone was lowered gently. Each edge was aligned with precision. Supervisors watched closely, while skilled workers adjusted the placement using wooden levers. Small changes were made again and again until everything fit perfectly. There was a quiet sense of focus in the air. No noise, no sudden movement. Only the soft sound of stone touching stone, and the calm voices of workers guiding each other. Nearby, priests stood in silence, offering gentle prayers. They asked for balance, harmony, and protection for the structure that was just beginning to rise. For them, this was not only construction, it was a sacred act. As the first layer of stones slowly spread across the desert floor, something remarkable began to take shape. What was once empty land now held the beginning of a lasting monument. Beyond the construction site, the waters of the Nile River continued their peaceful flow, unchanged by the work in the distance. Life carried on along its green banks, while here in the desert, something timeless was being created. And as the sun moved gently across the sky, casting soft shadows over the growing foundation, the Pharaoh's tomb took its very first quiet steps toward eternity. With the foundation now resting quietly upon the desert floor near Giza, the work begins to rise slowly upward. Layer by layer, the Pharaoh's tomb starts to take shape, growing gently toward the wide sky above. In ancient Egypt, building upward required careful planning and steady hands. The workers did not rush. Instead, they followed a calm rhythm, placing each new row of stone with patience and precision. Long, sloping ramps were built from packed earth and mud brick. These ramps allowed the workers to pull the heavy stone blocks higher as the structure grew. Step by step, the stones were guided upward along these paths, moving slowly but steadily. The sound of the work remained soft and steady. The quiet pull of ropes, the gentle scrape of sledges, and the low voices of workers guiding one another. Everything moved in harmony. Ate levels carefully lined the stones. They checked the angles and edges, making sure the structure remained balanced. The Egyptians were known for their precision, and even the smallest detail was treated with care. As the tomb grew taller, the view from above began to change. From higher levels, workers could see far across the desert. In the distance, the green valley of the Nile River stretched peacefully, its waters shining softly under the sunlight. The contrast was quiet but beautiful. Below, the golden desert, and beyond it, the life-giving river, as days turned into weeks and weeks into months. The structure slowly rose higher and higher. Each layer added to the calm strength of the monument, bringing it closer to its final form. There was no need for speed. For the ancient Egyptians, time itself was not something to rush. What mattered was balance, patience, and care. And so, under the warm sun and the endless sky, the Pharaoh's tomb continued to rise stone by stone toward eternity. As the outer structure continues to rise slowly above the desert near Giza, another kind of work begins quietly within the growing monument, while the outside reaches toward the sky. The inside is carefully shaped in silence. Deep within the structure, skilled workers begin carving the inner chambers. In ancient Egypt, the inside of a pharaoh's tomb was just as important as the outside. These hidden spaces were designed to protect and guide the pharaoh in the afterlife, offering calm and order for an eternal journey. Using copper tools and stone hammers, workers slowly carved narrow passages into the thick limestone blocks. The air inside was cooler than the desert outside, and the sounds of work echoed softly through the corridors. Each movement was careful. Each strike was measured. Torches placed along the walls gave off a soft, flickering light illuminating the smooth stone surfaces. Shadows moved gently across the walls, creating a quiet and almost dreamlike atmosphere. The passages were not random. They followed the careful plans created by the architects. Some corridors led deeper into the structure, while others connected to small storage rooms. These rooms would later hold items needed for the pharaohs. Peaceful life beyond this world. Ate se senta the mochlolik shape. This was the burial chamber where the pharaoh's sarcophagus would rest. The walls here were carved with extra care, ensuring strength and stability. Everything was designed to remain undisturbed for eternity. Above and around these chambers, the massive stones continued to rise, protecting the quiet spaces below. Far outside, the Nile River flowed as it always had, far removed from the stillness within the tomb. Life moved gently along its banks, while here, in the heart of the structure, something timeless was being prepared. The inner world of the tomb grew slowly, shaped by patience and quiet effort. A hidden place of rest, calm and protected, waiting silently beneath layers of stone. As the inner chambers take shape deep within the structure near Giza, a new and quieter kind of work begins. The carving of stone slowly gives way to something more delicate, something more expressive. The decoration of the tomb. In ancient Egypt, the walls of a pharaoh's tomb were not left plain. They were carefully decorated with paintings and carvings that told. Gentle stories meant to guide and comfort the pharaoh in the afterlife. Inside the cool, dim chambers, artists begin their work. They sit or kneel close to the walls, holding simple brushes made from plant fibers. Small bowls of natural pigments rest nearby, reds from iron-rich earth, blues and greens from crushed minerals, and blacks from soot. The colors are soft, yet lasting. Before painting, outlines are drawn carefully onto the stone. Figures of people, animals, and symbols slowly appear, each one placed with meaning and balance. The scenes often show peaceful moments of daily life. Farming along the Nile River, gathering food, or offering gifts. These images were not just decoration. They were believed to become real in the afterlife. By painting food, it would be available. By painting servants, they would serve. By painting calm and order, peace would follow. Hieroglyphs, small carved symbols, are added beside the images. Scribes carefully inscribe prayers, names, and protective words into the stone. Each symbol is shaped with care, forming quiet lines of meaning across the walls. The atmosphere inside remains calm. Torches flicker softly, casting warm light over the colorful scenes. The workers speak little, focused on their careful tasks. There is no rush, only patience. Above them, the great structure continues to grow layer by layer. And below, within these hidden chambers, the walls slowly come alive with quiet stories. Stories of life, of balanci, and of a peaceful journey beyond time. Deep within the peaceful chambers near Giza, the soft glow of torchlight continues to flicker gently against the stone walls. The painters slowly step back from their work. And now another group begins their careful task. The sculptors in ancient Egypt. Carving was not just about shaping stone. It was about creating something that could quietly exist forever. These artists worked slowly, with calm focus, turning flat walls into gentle, raised forms that could be felt even in low light. They used small chisels, made of copper and harder stone, tools to press into the surface. The sound was soft, a slow tapping that echoed gently through the chambers. TRP, pause. TRP again. Each movement was controlled. Each line was planned. Figures of the pharaoh began to appear along the walls, standing tall yet peaceful. He was shown in calm poses, walking, sitting, or offering gifts to the gods. His expression was always steady, without strong emotion, reflecting balance and order. Nearby, smaller figures were carved servants, animals, and helpers. These were not random decorations. They were meant to accompany the pharaoh into the afterlife, ensuring that his journey would be comfortable and complete. Some carvings showed boats drifting along the Nile River, while others showed fields being harvested under a quiet sky. These peaceful scenes were chosen carefully, creating a sense of calm continuity between life and what comes after. The sculptors worked close to the wall, sometimes brushing away fine stone dust with their hands. The air remained cool and still, filled only with the faint sound of tools and quiet breathing. Time moved slowly here. Above them, layers of stone continued to rise. sealing the chambers in quiet protection. But inside, the walls were becoming something more than stone. They were becoming memory, a gentle record of life, carved softly into silence, meant to last as long as the desert itself. Deep inside the quiet chambers near Giza, the carved walls now rest in stillness. The paintings have dried, the reliefs are complete, and the air feels calm and settled. Now, another gentle phase of preparation begins. The placing of sacred objects. In ancient Egypt, a pharaoh's tomb was never empty. It was carefully filled with items meant to support a peaceful and comfortable journey into the afterlife. Each object was chosen with quiet purpose. Workers moved slowly through the corridors, carrying wooden chests, pottery jars, and finely crafted items. Their footsteps echo softly against the stone floors, blending with the faint crackle of torchlight. There is no rush, only careful placement. In one chamber, smooth clay jars are arranged neatly along the walls. These jars hold oils, grains, preserved foods, simpler things yet deeply meaningful. The belief was gentle. What was needed in life would also be needed beyond it. In another space, small statues are placed with care. These figures, often carved from wood or stone, represent servants who would quietly assist the pharaoh in the next world. Each one stands still, yet full of purpose. A beautifully carved boat model is set nearby, symbolizing a peaceful journey along. The Nile River, its tiny oars and figures are detailed with patience, reflecting the importance of travel in both life and eternity. Priests move quietly among the objects, offering soft prayers. Their voices are low and steady, filling the chambers with a calm rhythm that feels almost like a gentle lullaby. The atmosphere is peaceful. Everything has its place. Everything has meaning. As the chambers slowly fill, the tomb begins to feel complete, not crowded, but balanced. Each object rests where it should, contributing to a quiet sense of order. Far above, the desert remains silent under the open sky. But here, deep within the stone, a world has been carefully prepared. A world of calm, of quiet support, and of endless rest. Deep within the calm stone structure near Giza, the sacred objects now rest quietly in their places. The chambers feel complete, balanced, and still. Now begins one of the most careful and silent steps, the sealing of the inner chambers. In ancient Egypt, this process was done with great patience. It was not rushed, because once sealed, these spaces were meant to remain untouched for eternity. Workers move slowly through the narrow corridors one last time. They carry small lamps, their soft light glowing against the carved walls. The paintings and sculptures seem to watch quietly, as if aware of the final moments of preparation. Stone blocks are carefully brought into the passageways. Each one is placed with precision. Some corridors are gently closed with large limestone slabs, fitted so tightly that no space remains between them. Workers use simple tools to adjust the position, ensuring a perfect seal. The sounds are soft or slow scrape, a quiet shift, and then stillness again. In certain passages, hidden barriers are created. These are designed not with urgency, but with calm intention to protect the resting place from disturbance. The design is thoughtful, almost gentle, as if the builders are guiding the tomb into silence. Priests walk behind the workers, speaking quiet prayers. Their voices echo softly, blending with the steady rhythm of the work. They bless each chamber as it is closed, offering calm protection for what lies within. As one passage after another is sealed, the inner world of the tomb grows quieter. The air becomes still. The light fades, and slowly, the heart of the tomb is wrapped in silence. Far above, beyond layers of stone, the desert remains unchanged. The distant flow of the Nile river continues as always. But here, deep inside, everything is coming to rest. The chambers are no longer places of work. They have become places of quiet. Sealed gently, protected softly, and ready for eternity. Now, deep within the silent structure near Giza, only one space remains open, the most important chamber of all, the final resting place of the Pharaoh. In ancient Egypt, this chamber was prepared with the greatest care. It was not large or grand in the way one might expect, but it was balanced, calm, and deeply protected by layers of stone above and around it. The air here feels cool and still. The walls, already carved and decorated, reflect the soft glow of torchlight. Gentle images of peaceful life and quiet symbols surround the room, creating a sense of comfort rather than heaviness. At the center rests the stone sarcophagus. It has been placed with precision, aligned carefully within the chamber. Its surface is smooth, its shape simple yet strong. Workers approach it slowly, almost silently, as if aware of the importance of this moment. There is no noise, only soft movement. The final preparations are made around it. Small items are adjusted, ensuring everything is in perfect balance. Nothing is left out of place. The chamber must feel complete, not crowded, but whole. Priests gather quietly nearby. Their voices rise in low, steady tone-soft prayers that echo gently against the stone. These words are not loud or urgent. They flow slowly, like a calm river, guiding the Pharaoh toward a peaceful journey beyond. The flickering light of the lamps casts long, gentle shadows across the walls. The carvings seem almost alive in the moving glow, yet everything remains still. Far above, beyond countless layers of stone, the world continues. The Nile River flows quietly. The desert wind moves softly across the sand. Life carries on, unaware of the stillness forming deep below. And here, within this final chamber, everything feels settled, prepared with care, arranged with purpose, and held in perfect silence. In the quiet stillness deep beneath Giza, the final chamber now feels complete. Every object has been placed, every wall prepared, every space gently arranged. What remains is not work of the hands but of quiet belief. The final ritual. In ancient Egypt, this moment was approached with calm care. Priests gather softly within the chamber, their movements slow and deliberate. The air is still, touched only by the faint glow of oil lamps. Their voices begin low, not loud, not urgent, just steady and peaceful. They speak ancient words meant to guide the Pharaoh's spirit, helping it move gently into the next world. These prayers were believed to bring protection, balance, and a sense of calm continuity beyond life. One by one, the priests move around the sarcophagus. They pause at each side, raising their hands slowly, as if offering quiet respect. The rhythm of their motion feels almost like breathing slow, even and unbroken. A small amount of incense is placed nearby. As it begins to burn, a thin stream of fragrant smoke rises into the still air. It drifts gently upward, softening the space, adding a calm and almost dreamlike presence to the chamber. The flickering light dances across the carved walls. Images of life along the Nile River seem to glow softly. Fields, water, boats, and peaceful figures. These scenes, now complete, surround the pharaoh with quiet familiarity. The ritual continues without haste. There is no sense of ending, only transition. When the final words are spoken, the priests fall silent. They stand still for a moment, allowing the quiet to settle fully into the space. Then, slowly, they begin to leave. Their footsteps fade gently into the corridor, leaving the chamber exactly as it was meant to be, undisturbed, balanced, and calm. Behind them, the chamber remains still, silent, and ready for eternity. The gentle ritual has ended, and the chamber is filled with a deep, comforting stillness. Outside, the desert sun casts long, soft shadows across the plateau near Giza, but deep within, the pharaoh's tomb has almost reached its final form. The last step is now taken, sealing the tomb forever. In ancient Egypt, sealing a tomb was done slowly, carefully, and deliberately. Each block placed over the chambers above, and around the sarcophagus is set with patience, aligned perfectly and checked repeatedly. Workers move quietly, guided by supervisors who ensure every stone fits just right. Ropes, wooden levers, and gentle taps are used to adjust the positioning, each movement measured and controlled. The sound of stone meeting stone is soft, almost like a whisper in the still desert air. The passages leading to the burial chamber are carefully closed with massive limestone slabs. Hidden barriers are created to ensure the space remains undisturbed. Every layer of stone above and around the chambers adds to a sense of safety and calm permanence. Priests offer soft, final prayers as the last stones are placed. Their voices are low, serene, and rhythmic. They call for protection, balance, and eternal peace for the pharaoh. And their words echo gently against the walls of the still, sealed tomb. Once the final stone is in place, the tomb becomes silent. No sound, no movement, no disturbance. Only quiet, only stillness. Only the desert wind far above and the distant flow of the Nile River, moving calmly and steadily as it always has. The pharaoh's tomb, created with patient hands, careful thought, and gentle ritual, now rests quietly under the desert sky. It is complete, a place of peace, balance, and eternal rest. And as the sun sinks slowly toward the horizon, the desert itself seems to honor the stillness within, keeping the tomb safe, calm, and timeless. with the tomb now completely sealed and the pharaoh resting within. The last moments of work at the site are quiet and gentle. Outside, the desert sun has lowered toward the horizon, casting a warm, golden light across the plateau near Giza. The workers and priests begin to depart, leaving the tomb in peaceful stillness. In ancient Egypt, this departure was done slowly, with care. Nothing was hurried. The workers who built the tomb, the artists who decorated it, and the priests who performed the rituals all move with calm awareness, honoring the space they leave behind. The workers dismantle the temporary camps. Tools are gathered, sledges are returned, and small fires for cooking are extinguished. The desert air cools gently, and a faint wind carries the soft sound of sand shifting across the plateau. Priests give final blessings to the surrounding area. Their voices rise briefly in low, harmonious tones before fading into silence. They walk toward the horizon, leaving the tomb untouched and protected under the layers of stone and the quiet desert sky. From a distance, the Nile River flows calmly, its waters reflecting the soft colors of sunset. Fields along the banks are bathed in gentle light, reminding all that life continues, peaceful and measured, just as it always has. Yet here, beneath the plateau, something timeless waits quietly in the shadow of the pyramid. The pharaoh's resting place, carefully prepared with patience and skill, now exists in perfect balance. Every stone, every carving, every object and prayer contributes to a lasting harmony. The tomb is complete, silent, and eternal. As the workers fade from view and the desert night begins to settle, the air grows cooler. The quiet of the tomb mirrors the quiet of the world. Outside a place of stillness, of calm, and of gentle peace. And slowly, the desert itself seems to exhale, holding the tomb safely beneath its sands, keeping it protected, serene, and eternal. As the last workers and priests slowly disappear over the horizon, the desert near Giza grows still. The golden light of sunset fades into a soft, dusky glow, and shadows stretch gently across the plateau. The pyramid, now complete in its exterior and interior, stands quietly, bathed in the calm embrace of evening. In ancient Egypt, night brought a peaceful rhythm. The desert cooled slowly, and the wind whispered softly over sand dunes, carrying the faint scent of distant fields. Along the Nile River, creatures of the night, small foxes, owls, and desert birds moved quietly in this calm, undisturbed world. From within the pyramid, there was complete silence. The inner chambers, sealed and prepared, rested under layers of stone. The sarcophagus of the pharaoh sat in perfect balance, surrounded by sacred objects, carvings, and painted scenes. The soft shadows cast by torchlight, long extinguished, now seemed like gentle memory, preserving the warmth and care of the builders who had once worked here. Above the pyramid, stars begin to appear one by one, slowly filling the darkening sky. The desert feels infinite, vast, and calm. The moon rises quietly, its pale light spilling across the sands, highlighting the contours of the pyramid and casting long, soft shadows. The world outside continues its gentle flow. The river glimmers faintly under moonlight, and life along its banks carries on in quiet harmony. Yet here, beneath layers of stone, the tomb remains a sanctuary of stillness. Everything is at rest, just as it was meant to be. The air itself seems to breathe gently, echoing the careful rhythm of construction, the patience of the artists, and the reverent silence of the priests. The pyramid now exists as both a monument and a guardian, holding the Pharaoh in eternal calm. And as night deepens, the desert hums softly with quiet life. The pyramid stands timeless and serene, a place of peace, balance, and endless rest. As the night deepens over the plateau near Giza, the world grows quieter still. The warm colors of sunset have faded completely, replaced by the cool, silvery glow of moonlight across the sand. The pyramid rests peacefully, its stones calm, and the desert seems to breathe softly around it. In ancient Egypt, the night was a time of rest, reflection, and quiet observation. Far from the work of builders, the wind moves slowly across dunes, whispering through the sparse desert plants. Occasionally, the soft rustle of small animals, stirring reminds one that life continues even in this vast, empty place. Inside the pyramid, the sealed chambers hold their eternal quiet. The sarcophagus rests among the sacred objects, the walls glowing faintly in memory of torchlight long extinguished. Every carving, every painted scene, every carefully placed item contributes to a sense of gentle order. The stars above shimmer quietly, mirrored by the distant, silvering waters of the Nile River. The river flows without hurry, carrying the calm rhythm of life along its banks, in soft harmony with the stillness of the desert plateau. The pyramid itself seems almost alive in the moonlight, a silent guardian of what lies beneath. Its smooth, pale stones reflect a gentle radiance, emphasizing the careful work of hands that moved slowly, deliberately, and with deep care. The desert night deepens further, wrapping the plateau in a soft blanket of peace. Every sound is muted. Even the movement of the wind feels slow and purposeful. The pyramid holds its secret without disturbance, timeless and calm, a quiet witness to a world that has long since changed around it. And in this stillness, one can imagine the echoes of history's softly lingering voices of workers, the rhythm of tools, the low murmur of priests, all folded into the quiet of the night. Preserved forever within the desert and stone, the Pharaoh rests in peace. The tomb rests in peace, and the desert keeps its secret quietly, endlessly, under the soft silver gaze of the moon. As the night drifts deeper over the plateau near Giza, the pyramid seems to take a slow, silent breath. The desert around it is calm, and the air is cool and still. Stars shine quietly above, scattered across a vast, dark sky. The world feels endless, timeless, and gentle. In ancient Egypt, the pyramid is not just a monument. It is a quiet guardian holding within it centuries of careful work, devotion, and peaceful preparation. The pharaoh's tomb lies hidden beneath its massive stones, fully sealed, fully protected, and fully at rest. The desert wind moves softly across the plateau, brushing over sand and stones with gentle rhythm. Occasionally, the faint rustle of plants or the distant cry of a desert owl reminds one that life continues quietly outside. Inside, however, everything is still. Every chamber, every passage, every sacred object rests in perfect balance. The moon rises higher, casting a pale silver glow that stretches across the pyramid's surface. The smooth limestone gleams softly, reflecting light in subtle, peaceful patterns. Shadows fall gently across the plateau, stretching long and calm, touching the edges of distant dunes and rocks. Even the distant waters of the Nile River shimmer in quiet, acknowledgement of the night's tranquility. Within the stone walls, one can almost imagine the echoes of the past. The soft taps of chisels, the measured steps of workers, the low murmur of priests' prayers, the calm movement of artisans placing sacred objects. All of it now folded into stillness, resting beneath the stones for eternity. The pyramid watches silently, timeless and patient. Seasons will pass, sands will shift, winds will whisper. Yet this quiet sentinel will remain, holding its secret, holding its peace, holding the Pharaoh in eternal calm. And as the stars wheel slowly overhead, the desert seems to settle further. Every grain of sand, every stone, every shadow becomes part of the quiet rhythm. The pyramid has completed its work. The tomb is complete. And in the stillness of the night, all is perfectly at peace. As the long night continues over the quiet plateau of Giza, everything seems to settle into an even deeper stillness. The air is cool, the wind has softened, and the vast desert stretches endlessly under a sky filled with slow, silent stars. The pyramid stands unchanged, calm, steady, and watchful. In ancient Egypt, this stillness was not seen as empty. It was full of meaning, full of quiet presence. The tomb, carefully prepared with such patience, was never meant to feel forgotten. Instead, it was designed to exist in perfect harmony with time itself. Deep within the stone, beyond sealed corridors and hidden chambers, the Pharaoh rests. There is no movement there, no sound, only a gentle, endless calm. The objects placed beside the Pharaoh remain exactly where they were left, carefully arranged, thoughtfully chosen. The walls, covered in soft carvings and painted scenes, seem to hold onto the memory of life, flowing water, open fields, and peaceful journeys along the Nile River. Above, the stars continue their slow movement across the sky. They shine just as they did thousands of years ago, steady, distant, and comforting. The moon drifts quietly, its light brushing across the pyramid's surface, tracing the lines of each carefully placed stone. Time feels different here, slower, softer, almost as if it has chosen to rest alongside the Pharaoh. The desert no longer feels like a place of endings, but a place of quiet continuation. The wind, the sand, the distant river all move in a calm and endless rhythm, unchanged by the passing of years. And the pyramid remains at the center of it all, still, silent, eternal. As the night deepens even further, the world seems to gently fade into a soft darkness. The stars blur slightly, the air grows cooler, and everything becomes more distant, more peaceful. It is here, in this calm and quiet moment, that you too can begin to drift. Let the stillness of the desert settle around you. Let the silence of the tomb feel soft and comforting. And as the pyramid keeps its quiet watch over the sands of Giza, you can slowly, gently, drift into rest. As the night stretches on over the quiet sands of Giza, everything becomes softer, slower, and more distant. The desert, once warm and golden, is now cool and silver under the fading glow of the moon. The pyramid remains unchanged, still watching, still resting in the ancient world of ancient Egypt. This kind of silence was not something to fear. It was something to welcome, a peaceful space where everything could exist without hurry, without noise, without effort. Deep within the pyramid, nothing moves. The air is still. The chambers are quiet. The Pharaoh rests exactly as he was placed, surrounded by objects meant to last forever. The carved walls, filled with gentle images of life fields, rivers, and calm journeys remain untouched, holding their stories in complete silence. Above, the stars begin to fade ever so slightly, as if the night itself is slowly exhaling. The moon lowers, its light becoming softer, dimmer, more distant. Shadows across the desert stretch and blur, blending into the smooth surface of the sand. Far away, the waters of the Nile River continue their slow and steady flow. Unchanged and uninterrupted, life moves on gently along its banks. But here, near the pyramid, time feels like it has come to rest. The wind has almost disappeared now. The desert feels still, completely still, and the pyramid stands at the center of this stillness, holding everything in quiet balance. Not just stone and sand, but time, memory, and peace itself. There is nothing left to build, nothing left to prepare. Everything has already been done with care and patience. And now there is only rest. As the night reaches its deepest point, the world becomes softer around you. The quiet stretches further, wrapping gently around every thought, every breath. The pyramid keeps its silent watch over the sands of Giza, unchanging, endless, calm, and in this endless silence, you can simply let go. Let the quiet carry you. Let the stillness hold you. And drift, slowly, gently, into sleep. Very slowly, almost without notice. The night begins to change over the quiet plateau of Giza. The deep darkness softens. The stars, once bright and countless, begin to fade one by one, like distant memories gently slipping away. The air remains cool, but there is a subtle shift, something light, something calm, something new. In ancient Egypt, this moment just before dawn was a time of quiet renewal. Not loud or sudden, but soft and patient. A slow return of light. As if the world itself was waking carefully, without disturbance. The pyramid stands exactly as it did through the night. Still, silent, unchanged. But now, the first faint glow of morning begins to appear along the horizon. A gentle band of pale light stretches across the edge of the desert, touching the smooth sands with the softest hint of gold. The shadows begin to shift, very slowly, very gently. Inside the pyramid, nothing changes. The sealed chambers remain in perfect stillness. The Pharaoh continues to rest, undisturbed, surrounded by the quiet presence of carefully placed objects and softly carved walls. But outside, the world begins its slow awakening. A light breeze returns, brushing softly across the desert surface. The faint sound of distant birds begins to rise from far beyond the plateau, near the life-giving waters of the Nile River. The sky grows lighter. Blue begins to replace black, and the first rays of sunlight, still weak and gentle, begin to touch the edges of the pyramid. Its stones, once silver under moonlight, now take on a soft golden hue. Warm, calm, timeless. The pyramid does not change, but the light around it does, revealing it once more to the waking world. It remains what it has always been, a place of rest, of care, of quiet preparation carried out long ago with patience and purpose. And as the sun slowly rises higher, the desert begins to glow again. But the calm of the night does not disappear. It lingers, softly, gently, like a quiet memory. And as this new day begins over Giza, you can remain in that peaceful space between night and morning, where everything is slow, everything is calm, and rest comes easily. The light continues to grow slowly over the quiet. Sands of Giza, what began as a faint glow is now a soft, golden morning. The horizon brightens and the desert begins to gently awaken under the rising sun. The pyramid stands just as it always has, calm, steady, unmoving. In ancient Egypt, this gentle return of daylight was a familiar rhythm. Each morning arrived not with urgency, but with quiet certainty. The same sun that rose today had risen countless times before, shining over the same stones, the same desert, the same river. The surface of the pyramid now reflects warm light, its limestone blocks glowing softly in shades of gold and pale cream. The sharp edges seen in the night begin to soften in the morning light, and the structure feels less like a shadow and more like a quiet presence within the landscape. A light breeze moves again across the plateau. It carries with it the subtle scent of dry sand and distant water. From far beyond, near the banks of the Nile River, faint sounds of life begin to rise, birds calling gently, water flowing in its steady, endless path. The desert is no longer silent, but it is still peaceful. Inside the pyramid, nothing has changed. The chambers remain sealed in their quiet perfection. The Pharaoh rests as he was placed, surrounded by objects prepared with care, protected by layers of stone and time. The morning light does not reach those inner rooms, and yet they do not need it. Everything there was designed for eternity, not for the passing of days. Outside, the sun climbs higher, spreading warmth across the land. Shadows grow shorter, and the soft colors of dawn become brighter, clearer. The pyramid reveals more of its texture, more of its detail, each stone placed by careful hands, each line shaped with quiet intention. It is no longer night, but the calm remains. The same calm that filled the darkness now lives within the light. And as the day begins over Giza, you can carry that calm with you, like a soft echo of the night, like a quiet breath that never quite fades. The morning has now fully arrived over the sands of Giza. The sky is clear and soft blue, stretching endlessly above the desert. The golden light of the sun gently warms the land, touching every stone, every grain of sand. With quiet consistency, the pyramid stands as it always has, unchanged, timeless. In ancient Egypt, this steady passage of time was deeply understood. Life moved in cycles, day and night, flood and harvest, rising and resting. The building of a pharaoh's tomb was never rushed. It followed the same calm rhythm, shaped by patience and care. Now, long after its completion, the pyramid holds that rhythm within its stones. It does not hurry. It does not fade. It simply remains. The sunlight reveals the fine details of its surface, the carefully placed limestone blocks, each one fitted with precision. Though time has passed, the structure still carries the quiet memory of those who built it. The workers, the artisans, the priests all left their presence here, not in noise, but in careful, saging work. A soft wind moves again across the plateau. It brushes lightly against the pyramid's base, lifting small grains of sand and carrying them gently across the ground. The desert shifts slowly, almost invisibly, reshaping itself over time, yet never disturbing the stillness of the great structure. Far away, the Nile River continues its calm journey. Its waters flow just as they always have, steady, quiet, and life-giving. The same river that once supported the builders of the pyramid now moves on, unchanged in its purpose, unchanged in its rhythm. Inside the pyramid, there is only silence. The chambers remain sealed. The air remains still. The pharaoh rests, surrounded by objects meant to accompany him beyond time. Nothing has shifted. Nothing has been disturbed. Everything remains as it was carefully placed. And outside, the day continues gently. There is no urgency here, only a quiet continuation. The pyramid does not belong only to the past. It belongs to time itself. And as the sunlight spreads across the sands of Giza, you can feel that same steady calm, unchanging, endless, and softly present. The day moves forward slowly over the sunlit plateau of Giza. The early softness of morning begins to settle into a steady, quiet brightness. The sky remains clear, and the sunlight rests evenly across the desert, warming the stones of the pyramid without haste. Nothing here feels rushed. Nothing feels loud. In ancient Egypt, this gentle passage of time was part of everyday life. Work was done carefully, step by step, often under the same sun that now shines across the pyramid. The preparation of a pharaoh's tomb followed this same. peaceful rhythm, each task completed with patience, each detail given its own quiet importance. Now, long after those days have passed, the pyramid continues to reflect that calm effort. Its stones hold the memory of many days, like this one days of steady hands, quiet voices, and slow, careful work. Even in stillness, it feels alive with the rhythm of time. A soft breeze drifts across the desert again. It moves lightly over the sand, creating small, delicate patterns that shift and change without sound. The air is warm but not heavy, carrying with it a sense of openness and calm. The pyramid remains at the center of it all, unmoving, unchanging, a quiet presence within the endless landscape. Far beyond the plateau, the waters of the Nile River continue their steady flow. Along its banks, life unfolds, gentler fields are tended, boats drift, and the day carries on in the same calm rhythm it always has. But here, near the pyramid, time feels softer, slower, almost as if it has chosen to pause. Inside the pyramid, nothing stirs. The chambers remain sealed in perfect silence. The Pharaoh rests in complete stillness, surrounded by the objects that were placed with such care long ago. The carvings on the walls remain untouched, quietly holding their stories within the stone. The sunlight does not reach inside, but it does not need to. Everything there exists beyond the passing of days. And outside, the afternoon begins to approach, though gently, without urgency. The light shifts ever so slightly. The shadows stretch just a little, and the desert continues its quiet, endless rhythm. As the day moves on over Giza, you can follow that same slow rhythm, letting each moment pass softly, calmly, and without effort. The sun now sits higher in the sky above Giza, casting a steady and gentle warmth across the desert. The light is no longer soft like morning, it is fuller now, brighter, yet still calm in its presence. The pyramid stands quietly beneath it. Its surfaces glow in pale gold, each stone reflecting the sunlight in a way that feels soft rather than harsh. Even in the brightness of the afternoon, there is no urgency here, only stillness, only quiet continuation. In ancient Egypt, afternoons were often a time to slow down. Work would ease, movements would become gentler, and people would find moments of rest beneath shade or shelter. The heat of the day encouraged a quieter rhythm, one that matched the calm endurance of the land itself. The pyramid seems to share in that rhythm. It does not resist the heat. It does not change beneath the sun. It simply absorbs the warmth, holding it within its ancient stones, just as it has done for thousands of years. A faint breeze passes once more across the plateau. It is softer now, almost unnoticeable, moving lightly over the sand and around the base of the pyramid. The desert remains vast and open, stretching far into the distance without interruption. Far away, the Nile River continues its quiet flow, reflecting the bright sky above. Along its banks, life continues in small, gentle ways boats drifting slowly, water touching the edges of the land. everything moving with calm purpose. But here, the pyramid remains separate from that movement, a place of rest, a place of stillness. Inside, the air remains cool and unmoving. The thick stone walls protect the inner chambers from the heat of the sun, keeping everything in quiet balance. The Pharaoh rests undisturbed, surrounded by objects that were chosen with care and meaning. Nothing has shifted. Nothing has changed. The carvings on the walls continue to hold their quiet images, scenes of life, of journeys, of calm and steady moments that mirror the world outside. The afternoon stretches on slowly. The light remains steady. The shadows lie softly against the stones. And as time moves gently forward over Giza, you can feel that same warmth, that same stillness, settling softly around you, inviting you to rest a little deeper. As the afternoon begins to gently fade over Giza, the light softens once again. The sun, still bright, slowly begins its quiet journey downward across the sky. The warmth remains, but it becomes softer, less intense, more like a calm embrace than a steady heat. The pyramid notices nothing. It remains as it always has. Still, balanced, timeless. In ancient Egypt, this time of day carried a quiet transition. The busiest hours had already passed, and the world began to slow again, returning gently toward rest. Movements became softer, voices quieter, and the land itself seemed to breathe a little more deeply. The pyramid reflects that same calm shift. The sunlight, once directly above, now begins to angle across its sides. Shadows slowly return, stretching along the desert floor in long, soft lines. These shadows are not sharp or harsh, they move gradually, like a slow tide of darkness gently flowing across the sand. A light breeze stirs again. It is cooler now, carrying a subtle change in the air. The desert begins to release the warmth it gathered throughout the day, letting it drift quietly into the open sky. Far in the distance, the Nile River reflects the shifting light, its surface turning from bright silver to a softer, deeper tone. The sounds of the day begin to fade, replaced by a growing stillness that feels familiar and comforting. Inside the pyramid, the calm remains unchanged. The thick stone walls hold their quiet silence, untouched by the shifting light outside. The Pharaoh rests in the same peaceful stillness, surrounded by carefully placed objects and softly carved walls that tell quiet, timeless stories. The air remains cool. The silence remains complete. Nothing enters. Nothing leaves. And outside, the shadows grow longer. The light grows softer. The day begins to gently close. The pyramid stands at the center of it, all unchanged by the passing hours, steady through the quiet rhythm of time. As the sun slowly lowers over Giza, you can follow that same gentle rhythm, letting the brightness fade, letting calm return, and allowing yourself to drift a little deeper into rest. The sun now drifts lower across the horizon of Giza, and the desert begins to glow with a soft golden-orange light. The brightness of the day fades into something warmer, calmer, more restful. The pyramid stands quietly in this changing light. Its stones, once bright under the afternoon sun, now take on deeper tones, soft gold, warm amber, and gentle shadows that move slowly across its surface. In ancient Egypt, evening was a time of slowing down. The work of the day would come to a gentle close, and the land itself seemed to settle into a quieter rhythm. Voices softened, movements became fewer, and the world prepared itself for rest. The pyramid reflects this quiet transition. The long shadows stretch even further now, reaching across the sand like calm, dark waves. The air begins to cool, carrying away the warmth of the day in soft, invisible currents. A gentle breeze moves across the plateau. It feels lighter now, calmer, almost like a quiet sigh of the desert itself. Far away, the waters of the Nile River shimmer under the evening light. The surface reflects shades of gold and orange, mirroring the sky above. Everything feels connected: the river, the desert, the sky, and the pyramid all moving together in a slow, peaceful rhythm. Inside the pyramid, nothing changes. The chambers remain still and silent. The Pharaoh rests undisturbed, surrounded by the quiet presence of carved walls and carefully placed objects. The cool air inside holds steady, untouched by the fading light outside. There is no sense of time within those walls. Only calm, only stillness. And outside, the sky begins to deepen. The soft gold of evening slowly turns into deeper shades: orange, then pink, then a gentle, fading blue. The light becomes softer with each passing moment, wrapping the desert in a calm and quiet glow. The pyramid remains at the center of this moment, unmoving, unchanging, at peace. As the evening settles over Giza, you can feel the day gently coming to rest, the light slowly fading, and your thoughts becoming softer, quieter, ready to drift once more into the calm of night. The last light of day slowly fades over the sands of Giza. The warm colors of sunset begin to soften, slipping gently into deeper shades of blue and gray. The sky grows and wide, and the desert returns to its familiar stillness. The pyramid remains calm, silent, unchanged. In ancient Egypt, night was not an ending, but a return to quiet, to rest, to balance. After the slow rhythm of the day, the land welcomed the stillness of darkness with ease. The pyramid seems to welcome it too. As the sun disappears completely, a soft twilight lingers for a moment, gently touching the edges of the stones. Then, little by little, the light fades, and the first stars begin to appear above. One, then another, then many. The sky fills slowly, without hurry. A cool breeze moves across the plateau, softer now than before. It carries the calm of the coming night, brushing lightly across the sand and around the base of the pyramid. Far away, the Nile River reflects the last hints of fading light before settling into darkness. The world beyond continues its quiet rhythm. But here, near the pyramid, everything becomes still again. Inside, nothing changes. The chambers remain sealed. The air remains calm. The Pharaoh rests in complete silence, just as he was placed surrounded, by the careful work of those who prepared this place long ago. The carvings on the walls remain unseen in the darkness, yet they are still there, holding their quiet stories within the stone. The night deepens, the stars grow brighter, and the desert becomes soft and endless once more. The pyramid stands at the center of it all, steady, timeless, and at peace. It has seen the passing of day, the return of night, and it remains untouched by both. And as darkness gently settles again over Giza, you can let yourself follow that same quiet path, leaving behind the light, entering the calm, and drifting slowly into the deep peace of night. Night has fully settled over the Giza plateau, each one shimmering softly as if sharing a slow. The air is cool and still. The pyramid has become almost invisible in its stillness in ancient Egypt. Such nights were often seen as sacred, a time when the world rested, found its quiet place. The Pharaoh rests undisturbed in the center of this silent monument. The walls covered with soft carvings and painted scenes. The air is cool, heavy with the sense of permanence, as though time itself pauses here. The pyramid stands quietly beneath a sky filled with countless stars, gentle rhythm with the desert below, carrying only the softest whisper of the wind across the sands. A calm sentinel in the quiet landscape, and every creature, every grain of sand. Inside the pyramid, the chambers remain untouched, surrounded by treasures and sacred objects, hold their stories silently, waiting for eternity outside. The desert stretches endlessly. The Nile River. The night has deepened over the sands of Giza, and the pyramid rests under a sky that seems almost infinite. Stars twinkle faintly, scattered across the dark canvas, while the pale moonlight bathes the desert in a soft, silvery glow. The air is still, carrying only a whisper of the wind across the dunes, brushing gently over every grain of sand. The pyramid stands motionless, serene, a silent guardian of time. Inside, the Pharaoh's tomb lies sealed, a world apart from the rhythms outside. The chambers are cool and untouched, every stone holding the memory of the careful hands that shaped them long ago. Objects placed with reverent thought bowls, vessels, jewelry. Sacred tools remain exactly as they were positioned, surrounding the Pharaoh with a quiet, timeless order. Carvings and painted scenes tell stories in subtle colors and forms. Journeys along the Nile River. Fields of crops, animals, and ceremonial rituals, all frozen in gentle silence. Outside, the desert hums softly with nocturnal life. Small foxes move across the sands, their paws barely making a sound. Owls glide overhead, their wings whispering against the cool air. Even the distant river, though still flowing, seems hushed, reflecting the stars above like scattered pieces of silver. The moon drifts lazily across the sky, elongating the pyramid's shadows over the soft dunes, stretching and merging with the darkened landscape. There is a rhythm here that has lasted for millennia. The pyramid has witnessed countless sunsets, dawns, and nights just like this. Yet it remains unchanging, absorbing the stillness of the desert. holding the Pharaoh, and all within an absolute calm. Time itself feels slowed in the presence of this monument. The quiet is not empty, it is full of memory, patience, and gentle endurance. As you imagine the soft sweep of sand across the plateau, the cool caress of moonlight on limestone, the faint rustle of distant desert creatures, you can feel a sense of ease spreading through yourself. Let the stillness settle around your shoulders. Let the calm rhythm of the desert, the river, and the eternal pyramid carry your thoughts to quietude. Insist gently, the world is his, and so can you drift into your own deep, timeless rest, carried gently by the whispers of eternity, under the soft watch of the stars and the pyramid. Night has fully embraced the desert of Giza, and the pyramid rests under a deep, velvety sky. The stars are scattered like faint diamonds, twinkling gently above the horizon. The moon hangs low, spilling a soft silver light across the sands, caressing each stone of the pyramid with an unhurried glow. The air is cool, carrying only a soft, whispering breeze that brushes over every dune and every ridge. Inside the pyramid, the Pharaoh remains at perfect rest, surrounded by carefully chosen objects that reflect the calm order of the ancient world. The chambers are still, cool, and quiet. Carved walls depict soft, flowing scenes of daily life, workers in the fields, boats drifting along the Nile River, animals grazing gently, and ceremonies carried out with quiet reverence. Every image, every line, every color is a story held in patient silence, waiting to be seen by no one, yet existing eternally. Outside, the desert continues its gentle rhythm. Small nocturnal creatures move softly, leaving delicate tracks in the sand. An owl glides soundlessly across the moonlit dunes, its shadow merging with the pyramid's long, calm silhouette. The distant river reflects the starlight like scattered threads of silver, moving slowly but steadily through the quiet land. The cool breeze carries the faint scent of sand and stone, mingling with the soft rhythm of the night. The pyramid itself seems to breathe with the desert, absorbing the stillness of the hour. Millennia of sunrises, sunsets, and nights have left it patient, steady, and timeless. The stones hold memories of careful work, reverent hands, and a world long past, yet preserved perfectly in calm permanence. There is a rhythm here that is slow and endless, a quietness that is full, not empty, a soft echo of eternity. As you picture the slow dance of moonlight on stone, the gentle rustle of sand in the breeze, and the distant shimmer of the Nile, a sense of deep calm spreads through your own body. Every thought softens, every breath slows, and the quiet of the night wraps around you. The pyramid stands, watch, timeless and serene, inviting you to drift along with the rhythm of the desert, the river, and the stars. Here, in this vast, eternal stillness, you too can rest, slowly, gently, and completely. The night stretches quietly over the Giza Plateau, wrapping the pyramid in a soft, silver glow. The stars are scattered across the sky like gentle whispers, tiny pinpricks of light that shimmer faintly above the desert. The air is cool and still, carrying only the faintest brush of wind that moves lightly across the sands, stirring delicate patterns in its invisible fingers. The pyramid remains silent and steady, a timeless guardian of the land. Inside, the pharaoh rests peacefully. The chambers are cool, sealed, and untouched by the outside world. Every object placed carefully in the tomb-golden vessels. Jewelry, ceremonial tools, and offerings rests in perfect order, their presence calm and enduring. The carved walls tell soft, timeless stories. Boats drifting along the Nile River, fields filled with workers gently tending the crops, animals grazing, and priests performing ceremonies with quiet reverence. Each image, each stroke, carries the patience and care of hands long gone but remembered in stone. Outside, the desert continues its gentle rhythm. Tiny nocturnal creatures move softly across the dunes, leaving fleeting traces that vanish with the cool breeze. An owl glides soundlessly across the moonlit sands, its shadow merging with the pyramid's long silhouette. The distant river glimmers under the starlight, flowing slowly and quietly as it has for centuries. Even the wind seems mindful, moving gently without disturbing the calm of the night. The pyramid itself seems alive in its stillness, absorbing the quiet and radiating it back into the desert. Each stone holds the memory of careful hands, of endless days and nights spent in reverence and patience. Time itself feels slowed here, stretching into eternity, as you imagine the soft silver light on the limestone, the whisper of wind over the sand, and the faint glimmer of the Nile. A sense of deep calm fills your body. Thoughts grow slower. Breathing softens. The quiet rhythm of the desert, the river, and the pyramid carries your mind gently. Here, under the stars and the eternal watch of the stones, you can rest completely. Let yourself drift slowly, like sand flowing gently across the dunes into calm and deep sleep. The night deepens over the Giza Plateau, and the desert lies in soft, unbroken stillness. The pyramid rises silently, bathed in pale moonlight that spills across the smooth stones, casting gentle, elongated shadows over the sand. The stars above are countless, scattered like tiny flickering lanterns, their soft light reflecting faintly on the distant waters of the Nile River. A light breeze drifts across the dunes, moving imperceptibly, shaping the sand in delicate waves that vanish almost as soon as they appear. Inside the pyramid, all remains still. The pharaoh rests undisturbed, surrounded by carefully placed objects chosen to accompany him into eternity. Golden vessels, ceremonial tools, and finely carved amulets sit quietly, their surfaces reflecting the soft glow of the moon that filters faintly through cracks in the stone. The walls hold carved scenes and painted depictions of everyday life. Workers tending the fields, boats drifting on the Nile, and animals moving calmly through the landscape. Priests performing rituals with measured, deliberate movements. Each image tells a story of patience, care, and quiet reverence, frozen in time yet full of gentle life. Outside, the desert moves slowly in its own rhythm. Small creatures traverse the dunes, leaving delicate tracks that are soon erased by the soft, whispering wind. Owls glide silently, their wings brushing the night air with a faint, almost imperceptible sound. The Nile reflects the starlight in thin silver ribbons, moving slowly, steadily, as it has for millennia. The desert, the river, and the pyramid exist together in a quiet harmony, each element part of a slow, timeless rhythm. The pyramid itself seems to breathe with the night. Each stone absorbs the stillness, radiating calm into the surrounding desert. Time feels suspended here, slowed into eternity. The air is cool, the silence profound, and the sense of peace is complete. As you imagine the moonlight on limestone, the gentle rustle of sand, and the shimmering river far away, your body softens. Your thoughts slow. Each breath becomes calmer. The rhythm of the night, the desert, the river, the eternal pyramid invites. You too release the day's concerns and drift slowly into sleep. Here, in this quiet, endless space, you are held in calm, steady, and serene rest. The night has deepened further over the Giza Plateau, and the pyramid stands silently beneath a sky painted with countless stars. The moon, full and gentle, casts a soft silver glow over the sands, turning the desert into a quiet sea of light and shadow. The air is cool, carrying only a delicate whisper of wind that moves over the dunes, shifting grains in subtle, hypnotic patterns. The pyramid, timeless and steady, watches over the desert with calm patience. Inside, the Pharaoh lies at rest, enveloped by the carefully placed treasures and sacred objects set accompany him into eternity. Golden vessels, ritual tools, and carved amulets sit in perfect stillness. The walls, painted and carved with images of daily life, tell soft, silent stories, boats gliding along the Nile River, fields of grain swaying gently in imagined winds, animals wandering calmly, and priests moving in quiet ceremonial reverence. Every detail, every line, every symbol holds the memory of care, reverence, and patience preserved in perfect stillness. Outside, the desert seems almost alive in its gentle rhythm. Tiny creatures move silently across the sands, leaving fleeting impressions that are soon erased by the breeze. Owls glide soundlessly, their wings brushing the cool night air, their shadows merging with the long, calm silhouette of the pyramid. The distant river glimmers faintly in the moonlight, flowing steadily, a quiet silver ribbon cutting across the darkness. The desert, the river, and the pyramid form a harmonious rhythm, slow, enduring, and eternal. The pyramid itself seems to breathe softly with the night, absorbing the stillness of the desert and radiating it outward. Time here feels suspended. The cool air, the profound silence, and the gentle moonlight create a space where peace is complete and lasting. As you imagine the gentle moonlight on the stones, the whispering breeze across the sand, and the soft shimmer of the Nile in the distance, your body relaxes, your thoughts slow, your breathing softens, and the calm rhythm of this night, the desert, the river, and the eternal pyramid carries you slowly into restful sleep. Here, in this quiet and timeless place, you are safe, calm, and completely at peace. The night stretches endlessly over the Giza Plateau, and the pyramid stands unmoving, a quiet sentinel beneath a sky dense with stars. Each star flickers gently, casting a faint shimmer over the desert. The moon hovers low, spilling silver light across the smooth limestone, and the air is cool and still, carrying only the softest whispers of wind over the dunes. Inside, the Pharaoh rests in complete calm. The chambers are quiet, cool, and untouched. Objects placed with careful intention: golden vessels, ritual amulets, and ceremonial tools lie in silent harmony around him. The walls are carved and painted with scenes of daily life. Workers moving through fields, boats drifting along the Nile River, animals wandering with ease, and priests performing rituals in soft, deliberate movements. Stories flowed in time, echo gently in the stillness. Their rhythm soft and unhurried. Outside, the desert breathes slowly. Small nocturnal creatures move softly across the sands, their footprints leaving temporary marks that the breeze soon erases. Owls glide silently through the moonlit sky, merging their shadows with the pyramid's long, calm silhouette. The distant Nile shimmers faintly under the starlight, flowing steadily with timeless patience. The desert, the river, and the pyramid exist together in quiet, unbroken harmony. The pyramid itself seems to pulse gently with the night. Its stones absorb the calm of the desert and radiate it outward, creating a sanctuary of stillness. Time feels suspended here, slowed into eternity. The cool air, the profound silence, and the soft moonlight wrap everything in a protective, peaceful embrace. As you imagine the gentle moonlight on the pyramid, the subtle patterns in the sand, and the soft shimmer of the Nile, your mind and body begin to relax. Thus slow breathing, gentle, and the serene rhythm of the desert, the river, and the eternal pyramid carries you into a state of calm. Here, beneath the watchful stars, you can drift completely into restful sleep, enveloped in the soft, enduring peace of the night. The night deepens, and the pyramid rests quietly beneath. A sky sprinkled with countless stars over Giza, the moon casts a soft, silver glow across the plateau, painting the limestone stones with gentle light. The desert stretches endlessly, smooth dunes folding into one another, each ridge touched by the faint whisper of a cool breeze. The air is calm, almost weightless, carrying the quiet hum of the night across the sands. Inside, the Pharaoh remains in perfect repose. The tomb's chambers are still and cool, the treasures within undisturbed. Golden vessels, amulets, ceremonial tools, and carefully placed offerings are wrapped in silent harmony. The walls, adorned with painted and carved scenes of daily life, carry soft, eternal stories. Boats gliding along the Nile River, fields of grain bending gently in imagined wains, animals roaming calmly, and priests performing ceremonies with deliberate, unhurried gestures. Each image whispers of careful hands, reverent hearts, and patience preserved in stone. Outside, the desert hums softly. Small nocturnal creatures leave fleeting tracks in the sand. immediately erased by the gentle breeze. Owls drift silently overhead, merging their shadows with the long, serene silhouette of the pyramid. The distant Nile reflects the faint starlight, flowing with timeless patience, an ever-present silver thread against the dark land. The desert, river, and pyramid move together in quiet, enduring rhythm, a rhythm that seems as old as time itself. The pyramid itself radiates calm. Each stone absorbs the stillness of the night and reflects it outward. Time slows here, stretching softly into eternity. The cool air, the profound silence, and the gentle moonlight create a space where peace is complete and lasting. The world outside seems paused, and inside, the Pharaoh rests in quiet harmony with the universe. As you imagine the soft glow of moonlight, the delicate movement of sand in the breeze, and the distant shimmer of the Nile, your mind begins to settle. The slow breathings and the gentle rhythm of the desert carries you toward deep rest. Here, under the watchful stars and the calm gaze of the eternal pyramid, you can drift slowly, gently, and completely into sleep. The night has settled deeply over the Giza Plateau. The pyramid rises silently, bathed in the soft silver glow of the moon, each limestone block catching the light in subtle gradients. The air is cool and still, carrying only the faintest whisper of wind that drifts across the smooth desert sands. Every dune, every ridge seems softened under this quiet illumination, as if the desert itself is exhaling gently into the night. Inside, the Pharaoh rests in serene stillness. The chambers remain cool and untouched. The treasures within golden vessels, carved amulets, ritual tools lie in perfect harmony around him. The painted and carved walls are filled with the gentle stories of daily life. Boats drifting on the Nile River, fields of grain bending softly as if in a quiet breeze, animals moving slowly, and priests performing measured ceremonies. These images whisper silently, carrying the calm of ancient hands and the patient rhythm of centuries. Outside, the desert continues its tranquil pattern. Small nocturnal creatures move silently across the sands, leaving fleeting impressions that the breeze soon erases. Owls glide across the moonlit sky, their shadows merging with the pyramid's long, still silhouette. The distant Nile reflects the pale moonlight, flowing quietly, a silver ribbon threading through the calm land. The desert, the river, and the pyramid exist together in slow, steady rhythm, a rhythm that has endured for millennia. The pyramid seems almost alive in its stillness, absorbing the calm and radiating it outward. Time feels stretched, slow, and infinite. The cool air, the profound silence, and the gentle moonlight create a sanctuary of complete peace. The world pauses around this monument, and inside, the Pharaoh rests undisturbed, embraced by the timeless rhythm of the night, as you imagine the silver moonlight on the stones, the soft whisper of sand across the dunes, and the faint shimmer of the Nile. Your own body begins to soften. Your thoughts slow, breathing deepens and relaxes, and the quiet rhythm of the desert carries you gently into rest. Here, under the stars and the eternal watch of the pyramid, you can drift fully, slowly, and completely into deep, peaceful sleep. The night has deepened further over the Giza Plateau, and the pyramid stands bathed in the gentle silver glow of the moon. The stars twinkle softly across the sky, their light scattered like quiet sparks, adding depth to the calm darkness. A gentle breeze drifts across the smooth desert sands, shaping subtle ripples that seem to shimmer faintly in the moonlight. The desert feels endless, timeless, and perfectly still, as if it is holding its breath in reverent silence. Inside, the Pharaoh rests in serene calm. The chambers are cool, quiet, and undisturbed. Golden vessels, carved amulets, ritual tools, and offerings lie in perfect stillness around him. The walls, adorned with painted and carved scenes, hold stories of daily life, boats drifting along the Nile River, fields of grain swaying gently, animals moving slowly through the landscapes, and priests performing rituals with measured, deliberate gesture. Every carving, every color, every line is a silent echo of care and patience preserved for eternity. Outside, the desert hums softly with life. Small nocturnal animals cross the dunes, leaving faint tracks that vanish quickly in the cool night breeze. Owls glide silently overhead, their shadows merging with the long, calm silhouette of the pyramid. The distant Nile glimmers faintly under the moonlight, flowing steadily like a silver ribbon through the quiet land. The desert, river, and pyramid exist together in a slow, enduring rhythm. A rhythm that has persisted for millennia and will continue for centuries to come. The pyramid itself seems to breathe with the desert. Its stones absorb the stillness, reflecting calm outward into the night. Time feels suspended here, softened into eternity. The cool air, the profound silence, and the soft moonlight create a space where peace is complete. The world around seems paused, leaving only the timeless watch of the pyramid and the serene quiet of the desert night. As you imagine the soft moonlight on the pyramid, the gentle rustle of sand in the breeze, and the faint shimmer of the Nile, your thoughts soften. Every breath slows. Every muscle relaxes. The quiet rhythm of the desert, river, and eternal pyramid carries you into deep, calm sleep. Here, under the watchful stars and timeless stones, you can drift fully, slowly, and completely into peace. The night has fully embraced the Giza Plateau. The pyramid rises silently, a timeless sentinel beneath a sky thick with stars, each one glimmering faintly, as if breathing with the desert below. The moon spreads a soft silver glow across the smooth limestone, turning each stone into a quiet, luminous presence. A gentle breeze drifts over the dunes, shaping delicate, shifting patterns in the sand, as though the desert itself exhales slowly, in perfect harmony with the night. Inside, the Pharaoh remains in complete rest. The chambers are cool, silent, and untouched. Objects placed with care golden vessels, ritual amulets, finely carved tools, and offerings remain perfectly still. The walls carry subtle, timeless stories. Boats gliding on the Nile River, fields of grain bending as if in a gentle wind, animals roaming slowly, and priests performing rituals with deliberate, patient movements. Each carved line, each painted color, echoes the quiet care of long-vanished hands, frozen yet full of gentle life. Outside, the desert breathes softly. Tiny nocturnal creatures move lightly across the dunes, leaving delicate impressions that the wind soon erases. Owls glide silently above, their wings brushing the night air, merging their shadows with the pyramid's long, calm silhouette. The distant Nile shimmers faintly under the starlight, flowing steadily. A silver thread of life winding through the silent desert. The desert, river, and pyramid exist together in perfect rhythm, slow and eternal. A rhythm that has endured for centuries and will continue for centuries to come. The pyramid seems almost alive in its stillness, absorbing the calm and radiating it outward. Time itself feels slowed here, softened into endless, gentle eternity. The cool air, the profound silence, and the soft glow of moonlight create a sanctuary of perfect peace. As you imagine the silver light on the pyramid, the faint movement of sand in the breeze, and the glimmer of the distant Nile, your thoughts soften. Every breath becomes slower. Every muscle relaxes. The rhythm of the night, the desert, the river, the eternal pyramid carries you gently into deep, restful sleep. Here, beneath the stars and the timeless stones, you can drift completely, slowly and peacefully into rest. The night stretches quietly across the Giza Plateau, and the pyramid rests beneath a sky full of countless stars. The moon hangs gently, spilling silver light over smooth limestone stones, bathing each surface in soft illumination. The desert sands, undisturbed, shift only slightly with the faint whisper of wind, forming delicate ripples that catch the light and fade, almost as quickly as they appear. The world feels slow, calm, and completely at peace. Inside, the Pharaoh remains in serene stillness. The tomb is cool, silent, and untouched. Golden vessels, carved amulets, ceremonial tools, and offerings are arranged carefully, lying in harmonious stillness. The walls, carved and painted with stories of daily life, whisper softly across centuries. Boats drifting along the Nile River, workers moving through fields of grain, animals wandering slowly, and priests performing rituals with measured, unhurried movements. Every line, every color, every detail is a trace of patient hands and quiet care preserved in stone. Outside, the desert breathes in gentle rhythm. Tiny nocturnal creatures move lightly across the sands, leaving fleeting marks soon erased by the breeze. Owls glide silently across the night sky, their wings brushing softly against the moonlit air. The distant Nile reflects faint starlight, flowing with steady patience through the quiet landscape. The desert, the river, and the pyramid exist together in harmonious rhythm, slow, steady, and eternal, echoing the calm of millennia. The pyramid itself seems to exhale in the night, radiating the stillness it has absorbed over countless years. Time feels suspended here, soft, endless, and unhurried. The cool air, the profound silence, and the gentle silver moonlight create a sanctuary of peace, a moment untouched by the hurry of the world. As you picture the moonlight on the pyramid, the gentle rustle of sand, and the silver shimmer of the Nile, your mind softens. Your thoughts slow, your breathing deepens, and the quiet rhythm of the desert carries you into calm. Here, beneath the stars and the eternal watch of the pyramid, you can drift fully, gently, and completely into restful sleep. The night has settled fully over the Giza Plateau. The pyramid stands silent, bathed in the soft, gentle glow of the moon, its limestone stones reflecting silver light in a quiet, calming shimmer. The air is cool and still, carrying only the faintest brush of wind that drifts across the sands. The dunes shift ever so slightly, forming delicate, almost imperceptible waves that disappear as quickly as they appear. Above, the stars glitter faintly, tiny points of light scattered across the deep, velvety sky, each one like a soft heartbeat in the vastness of night. Inside, the Pharaoh rests in perfect calm. The tomb is serene, cool, and untouched. Every object golden vessels, carved amulets, ceremonial tools, and offerings lies in quiet harmony. The walls, adorned with delicate carvings and soft paintings, tell gentle stories of daily life. Boats gliding silently along the Nile River, fields of grain swaying as if in a slow breeze, animals wandering calmly, and priests moving with quiet, deliberate care during ceremonies. Every image is a whisper from the past, preserved patiently for eternity, each stroke soft and intentional, creating a rhythm of gentle life frozen in stone. Outside, the desert continues its soft, timeless song. Small nocturnal animals move lightly over the dunes, leaving traces that are quickly erased by the breeze. Owls glide silently, their shadows blending with the long, still silhouette of the pyramid. The distant Nile shimmers faintly under the moonlight, flowing with a serene, unbroken patience, a silver thread of calm threading through the dark, quiet land. The desert, the river, and the pyramid exist together in a slow, enduring rhythm, one that has persisted for millennia and will continue for centuries. The pyramid seems to breathe softly with the night. Each stone holds the stillness of countless centuries, radiating it outward into the desert. Time itself feels slowed, stretching gently into infinity. The cool air, the profound silence, and the soft glow of moonlight create a sanctuary of calm and peace, untouched by the hurry of the outside world. As you picture the gentle moonlight on the pyramid, the subtle patterns of sand, and the faint shimmer of the Nile, your thoughts begin to slow. Every breath softens, every muscle relaxes. The rhythm of the night, the desert, the river, and the eternal pyramid carries you closer to deep rest. Soon, you are ready to drift fully into calm, peaceful sleep. held gently in the timeless embrace of this ancient, quiet world. The night has deepened completely over the Giza Plateau, and the pyramid stands as a silent, timeless guardian beneath a sky filled with countless stars. The moon hangs low, spilling a soft, silver light across the smooth limestone, casting gentle, elongated shadows over the desert. The air is cool and still, carrying only the faintest whisper of wind that brushes lightly over the dunes, shifting grains in delicate, calming patterns. The world feels infinite, serene, and perfectly at peace. Inside, the Pharaoh rests in eternal stillness. The chambers are untouched, cool, and quiet. The treasures placed carefully around him, golden vessels, amulets, ceremonial tools, and offerings remain in silent harmony. The walls, carved and painted with timeless scenes, tell stories of daily life and gentle rituals. Boats gliding along the Nile River, fields of grain swaying softly, animals wandering calmly, and priests performing ceremonies with measured, unhurried gestures. Each image, each line, each color holds the memory of patient hands and reverent hearts, preserved for eternity in perfect stillness. Outside, the desert breathes slowly. Tiny nocturnal creatures move softly across the dunes, leaving delicate tracks that vanish almost immediately in the quiet breeze. Owls drift silently above, their wings brushing the night air, merging their shadows with the pyramid's long, serene silhouette. The distant Nile glimmers faintly under the starlight, flowing steadily, a silver ribbon through the calm desert. The pyramid, the river, and the desert exist together in a slow, enduring rhythm that has continued for millennia. The pyramid seems alive in its stillness, absorbing the calm of the desert and radiating it outward. Time feels suspended here, soft and infinite. The cool air, the profound silence, and the gentle moonlight create a sanctuary of complete peace. As you imagine the soft moonlight on the pyramid, the faint rustle of sand in the breeze, and the shimmering Nile, your body relaxes fully. Thoughts soften, breathing slows. The rhythm of the night, the desert, the river, the eternal pyramid carries you gently into deep, calm sleep. Here, under the stars and the timeless stones, you drift completely, slowly, and peacefully into rest, embraced by the soft, enduring stillness of this ancient, quiet world.